everyone, it's Crimson Glow here, and I'm just letting you know that if you're at all interested in funding my efforts into making these videos while at the same time getting stuff like work in progress art before I post them on Twitter, sneak peeks to the next video, and Patreon exclusive polls, which can only happen if there's more than 1 or 2 patrons, look down in the description below for a link to my Patreon. Thank you for supporting my efforts into making these videos fun and informative for all of you. Without you, I'm not able to make content possible. So, I hope you enjoy the show. What's inside these gems are truly powerful. But that's not to disregard the stones.
What are you doing here?
Clip! What are you doing here? I thought you didn't come here often.
Well, ever since Pee-wee decided to eat one.
Wait, he did what?
Well, he ate one and had himself be consumed by the stone, so he ended up converting into a new form. And ever since then, I decided to keep a closer eye on things just in case. Now, back to what I was getting to. What are you doing here?
Oh, you know, making sure that we're able to go over our plans as expected.
Oh, well, see, I was thinking about experimenting with the warp stones and seeing what their effects are on different magic. Seeing as out of the two of us, I'm the only one who's actually a unicorn.
Yeah, was a unicorn.
Excuse me?
Right, sorry. Let's not bring that up again. You know, in a magical cavern full of warp stones. But seriously, these things are dangerous. I don't want you to get hurt.
Clipboard, I'm not a stranger to the dark arts. And in fact, I've got way more experience with it than you do. I think I can handle myself just fine.
I am curious about some of the effects that the warp stone can have ever since Pee-wee's molting incident, and whatever the hell happened to Sharp. But why now?
Oh, I just needed a natural gem-related transition into my shipping video.
Wait, for what?
Hello everyone, I'm Crimson Glow, and I'm setting up for my funeral after talking about this particular ship. So, oh boy, first, before I can talk about the ship of the day, let's talk about the lovely world of Steven Universe, and the overall environment I'm about to put myself in. Steven Universe is a show by Rebecca Sugar about a boy named Steven who's living with the consequences of his alien mother while living with his mother's lifelong comrades Pearl, Amethyst, and Garnet, the ship that we're talking about today. This world is fascinating, with many criticizing the first season as a little boring and silly despite the fact that it is essential in building our already established characterizations. They have to face what different forms of love are, the losses that it can bring, complicated character backgrounds, and so many other things. But because of this, the fandom can be really overzealous if things don't fit into what the show is actually trying to progress. Infamously, the fandom has brought one artist to the brink of suicide and oftentimes berated other artists and even critiques on how the show is portrayed. Some people even critique the use of fusion rather than just having an actual gay couple on screen is a sort of pandering rather than a progression. Now, let's point out that this is a problem in every fandom, some more intensely than others, and a lot of these situations are actually a lot more complicated than I'm making them out to be. But I point these out because I'm about to talk about things I hate about a character/ship that has played a significantly large impact on the LGBTQ community as a positive and healthy homosexual relationship. Garnet, the fusion of Ruby and Sapphire, is complicated and deserves the praise that they get. It was kind of hard to pick out things that I hated about this ship because, well, I love this pairing. Garnet is goals as a character as well as a ship. She symbolizes a lot, but I think that this video became less things I hate about Your OTP and more of a character analysis than originally intended. Also, no matter how many times I tried to come up with 10 reasons, they seemed like rehashes of things I talked about prior, or they're things that had really flimsy evidence to go off of and were mostly things that might have been slight nuisances in the long run, so I just stuck with 3. Some of these things were fixed later on, but I still think that it shows some sort of flaws in the characters that can be considered undesirable, or just kind of things that personally annoy me about this ship. Now, without further ado, let's get this done. Number 3. So, every relationship is going to have its ups and downs, and Garnet is no exception. But when it came to a few of the moments in the show, there were a lot of inconsistencies as to what Garnet was, despite having so many years together. In the beginning of the show, Garnet was, without a doubt, an extremely cold and mysterious character. With the writing, it did make sense considering the episode where Steven sees Garnet separated into Ruby and Sapphire for the very first time. He freaks out because, well, he's a little baby and he doesn't know how to process one person becoming 2 people. That's mostly why they're so mysterious, though honestly, for the first season or so, that seemed to be Garnet's only personality trait, being distant, stern, but caring. It wasn't until after this that there was a drastic tonal shift. Where Garnet was before this very distant character from the rest of the group, like a statue and way more calculating, she became way more involved and emotional as time went on. Her entire mood seemed to change, which is great in some respects because we got to know Sapphire and Ruby's dynamic more than just a visual cue that came up every blue moon or something that was embedded in the character's design from the very beginning. Then, after the fusion is found out, there's almost too many inconsistent uses of Garnet's personality afterwards. Sometimes she's overly emotional about certain things that happen.
Well, I got news for you. You lost! Now!
Garnet!
Stay off my planet!
And sometimes not. As time went on, there was definitely more balance in the character of Garnet, showing that the equal balance between Ruby and Sapphire was there, rather than just Sapphire being more dominant in the home and Ruby being a physical powerhouse in battle. Though sometimes there are some characterizations that I don't know where they came from.
Let's fuse.
Jesus H. Christ!
This is still, I think, a problem now. I don't think that it's quite as bad as it used to be. I'm also really looking forward to what happens now, especially with the wedding happening and the marriage is now going on and having the fact that Garnet's honeymoon straight up got hacked. Number 2. So when it comes to this pairing, part of the big reveal was that we thought that Garnet at first was a single gem, or at least not a fusion. It was clued that Garnet was a fusion with little tiny details here and there, like how she had 2 gems instead of 1, how she had 3 eyes, that time that they were separated and then put back together mid-defusion. It might just be me, but I would have liked to see more of Sapphire and Ruby. It was great in the beginning for the mystery surrounding Garnet, but then we got to know that Garnet herself was a fusion. I understand that she has said,
You are not 2 people, and you are not 1 person. You are an experience.
And as a result, that has given great conversations as to what relationships are, at least in a different light. The problem then arises is that, well, it's hard to portray her as just a character or as 2 people in one form all the time. The point of Garnet herself is to be an allegory or a hyperbole of what a relationship is in a literal form. I get this. I really do. But then we get the problem of not knowing who Ruby and Sapphire are as individuals. The thing that I hate about it, though, is that the relationship takes over what they are as individuals who rarely get away from each other. The defense is there, don't get me wrong, this is how they portray their love. This is their love language, something I'm going to be talking about in another video. But for now, it just annoys me that they only had, maybe 2-3 episodes by themselves? The thing I fear the most is that we'll get even less of these individual character moments since they're married, you know? To me, it's a bit upsetting, because I like my character relationships to have a personality outside of the relationship. It shows that they, as characters, could work on their own without the help of others. Just realize that a relationship is not meant to fix you. It's meant to elevate you, something that Ruby does in the question. But it only lasts about an episode before we start getting back to the status quo. The marriage doesn't mean that they won't diffuse during a fight, etc., 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 place many plot points here, but there's even less likely events that that's gonna happen, though. Number 1. Okay, let's start with this big old can of worms that I'm about to unleash. Rose has served as many things for a long time, which has changed and morphed as the series has gone on. At first, she was a martyr who gave up her life for her son. Then she was a hero, trying to save Earth from basically space Nazis. And then she became a childish coward who didn't want to face her own actions. And then she became a treacherous diamond looking into any other way to rule without the diamond's authority. And now, well, you get the picture. But there's also one more thing that's also important to remember. How much Rose's memory held meaning for Garnet. It's not so obvious until we get to the episode The Answer, or Now We're Falling Apart. To Garnet, Rose was like the needle that formed their relationship, that formed them, that made them together. She's not what made them, she's not who they are, but she is what helped them realize what they were, guided them, led them, and in many ways, inadvertently blinded them. A lot of what they stood for rested on Rose's very existence in their lives. From the moment that they first met on Earth to being with Steven, Garnet has felt this obligation that there was nothing wrong with having Rose be such an idol figure representing the very journey that they had taken. She may not have been, well, the thing that kept them together, but it was definitely a driving factor. This is supported in a few things about Garnet that has been stated before, like how Pearl used Garnet to feel more powerful.
Move past this, Ruby.
She lied to us so we would form sardonyx! She tricked us, don't you feel used?
Pearl is similar to Rose in the aspect that she was a trusted friend with a huge tie to Garnet's past. What irritates me about this is that at the time, it felt as though it was the only reason they were together. Again, being stated in the episode, Now We're Only Falling Apart.
Talk about this, right? Let's just talk.
Talk about what? How our relationship is based on a lie?
When that couldn't be any further from the truth before this. You could argue that Sapphire was simply expressing herself more, but the problem with that is, it was shown while, yes, Rose was oftentimes in Garnet's mind, it was never the sole basis of their relationship. She showed that she was very secure in herself, in her individual selves, and in each other. She's shown to be the most centered out of all the characters, even when they have their problems. Yes, it's addressed through episodes 19 and 24 that Rose isn't necessarily what drives them together, but Garnet, as an experience and a relationship, definitely still shows a lot of holding on to Rose as a security blanket in their relationship. Like in Maid of Honor, where Sapphire wants to have friends from the war back with them. Even though she was very general about it, there's still this sense of nostalgia around Rose as a bigger influence in their characters and in their relationship. So these are the 3 things that I could find legitimately bothering me about this ship. I could go into how they seemed overbearing, like in the Cool Kids episode, or how perhaps they were too private about things, but overall they didn't seem like actual problems to me, especially with the relationship. This is a good ship. A ship that has really earned itself as one of the golden marks of what a relationship should be. And they have worked on this in the show. Does that mean that it's infallible and that every part of this ship has nothing wrong with it? No, it just means that it's healthy and that we have something new to learn from it. Because this is their experience, and it's never the same for everyone. This has been your future evil overlord, Crimson Glow, and, real talk, I totally listened to Ellie Monte's cover of Love Like You 40 times while doing this script. It was awesome.
You've got nothing, got nothing, got nothing, got nothing to fear.
we'll need more than that.
The end. Forever and even after that.
Yours truly, Garnet.
Another review, another bit of time wasted for our new subject.
Yes, well, I do have to keep my following somehow. For this experiment to work, though, we're going to need a few more items. Powerful items.
Now we're talking. I think you should pay a few of your friends a visit.